What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of commentary about Mass Effect Andromeda. And we're actually going to be talking about a recent briefing that Bioware did for the game about the Golden Worlds, and about a teaser we saw or heard in that new trailer that kind of leads to some speculation about a certain alien race possibly appearing in Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, it's kind of funny they did this briefing because I was in the middle of making a video talking about how it appeared there were not going to be any Quarians at all in Mass Effect Andromeda. So far, nothing that we've seen from any of the trailers or the gameplay showed that one of our favorite races was going to make it into the game at all. However, Bioware just released this new Golden Worlds briefing trailer, which I'll link to down below. And I think it's right around the 2:10 mark in that trailer, where they're talking about each of the different worlds that they're finding, the habitats, and they mentioned that Habitat 5 would be a perfect match for the Quarian and Turian colonists on board the mission. So that, of course, has sent the internet into a frenzy. Everybody's now speculating, are we actually going to see Quarians in Mass Effect Andromeda? And I would say at least this confirms that they will be in the game in some capacity. At least I hope they are. They could just be saying this and they're all stuck in cryosleep. Who knows, but hopefully the crew of the Nexus at least will be kind of multi-race, and you'll see some Quarians there, as the Nexus is kind of like the Citadel in this game. It's going to serve as one of your little hubs where all the people are kind of hanging out. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and originally I was going to make a video called, it doesn't appear that there's going to be Quarians at all in Mass Effect Andromeda, and prior to seeing this trailer, I kind of had come up with some reasons that could be possible, and reasons why they could also be in the game. And it's kind of interesting because when the Andromeda Initiative actually starts, if you go look at the official timeline for Mass Effect, the initiative actually begins before the events of the first Mass Effect game. The Andromeda Initiative is actually created about a year before the Normandy is actually built. Of course, the Normandy being the ship you use throughout most of the Mass Effect trilogy. And so it's pretty interesting. If you look at the timeline of all these events, it kind of would make sense for why Quarians wouldn't actually be included with the Andromeda mission. And the main thing is, around that time the initiative starts, the Quarians are not looked upon very well in the galactic community. And that's, of course, because they kind of broke the galactic law. They created AI, which kind of led to the Geth, which kind of led to some threats to the entire galactic community. The Council was not happy about this, of course, and the Quarians also were pretty much kicked off of their homeworld by the Geth, and they live on the Migrant Fleet, which is just a giant fleet of ships that constantly roams around the system, looking for resources, trying to figure out a way they can get back to their home planet and fight the Geth and get rid of the Geth so they can reclaim their homeworld. And that's one of the main things you help them out with in Mass Effect 3. And it's just kind of very interesting. So I think the main reason that Quarians wouldn't wind up being part of the initiative is for that reason right there. Even through Mass Effect and even Mass Effect 2, you see that the Quarians are pretty much shunned by most of the other races when you encounter them in the game. In Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2, people are always a little shocked when they show up in more populated areas, such as the Citadel. So most of those Quarians are actually on their pilgrimage. And then in Mass Effect 2, of course, you get to do fairly extensive missions with the Quarians when you do Tali's loyalty mission. And you actually learn quite a bit about them, and you see that they're actually pretty shady. It's pretty interesting when you go through those missions and you see how they act towards you. Personally, myself, I found the Quarians to be some of the more annoying characters in the Mass Effect trilogy. I absolutely loved Tali. She was one of my favorite characters. But some of the other Quarians I really just couldn't care less for. They were just really super annoying throughout the whole trilogy. They're very selfish as characters in the game. You can see this in Mass Effect 3, when the entire galaxy is dealing with the Reaper threat, the Quarians decide to go off and start a war with the Geth just on their own. They're not really too concerned about the rest of the galactic community. And very selfish characters. Even Tali showed this a little bit in her loyalty mission. It was kind of interesting. Her father, of course, decided to do some illegal research on the Geth, and the Quarians were doing research on the Geth in secret, against pretty much the rules of the galaxy and the Council. And Tali's loyalty mission, you find out her father was doing this, and she's being charged with the crime, and you're trying to clear her name. And you go, of course, over to the ship, and it's like a suicide mission, and they're saying that enough will clear her name if she dies in the mission. But if not, you have to find evidence. And when you come back on board, you actually do find evidence that it was her father that is the one who caused the Geth to activate and murder all the Quarians on the ship. And Tali doesn't even want you to tell them this because she wants to protect her father's legacy. So it's kind of interesting how she's that selfish. She's willing to take the fall for her dead parent, who pretty much screwed her over by using her goodwill to cause a massive problem for the rest of the migrant fleet. And the Quarians just, they don't make a lot of sense as a race sometimes. And I can see why people wouldn't want them in the Andromeda Initiative. But at the same time, they would also bring a few benefits. They are a spacefaring race for the most part, in terms of the fact that they basically live on their ships. Their ships are their home. They're used to spending a long time on board a spaceship, and they're used to maintaining those spaceships very well. So that would definitely come in handy on a mission like Andromeda, where you are kind of out in the unknown. You're pretty much dependent on your ship or your ark for survival. So in that case, the Quarians definitely could come in handy. They're very technical. They're very handy with fixing things and repairing things. So that would definitely be a good thing. And plus, the way they go on their pilgrimages, you would think they would be very good at kind of going out and exploring and finding things. So that's one way they might help out the initiative. But either way, I do hope they're in the game, as they are a very interesting race, and it would be kind of a shame to see them not make it into Andromeda. Now, Bioware has already said that some other alien races most likely will not be in the game. I'm guessing probably the Vorcha, the Batarians. Probably not going to see any Geth at all. We could be surprised. There still could be some surprises they throw at us in this game. I was literally shocked when we saw a planet in one of the gameplay previews that was colonized by Krogan. That really seemed very interesting to me. I didn't think they would be bringing as many Krogan with them on this mission, because from what I've read through the briefings and the other info on the game, it seems like most of the races involved majorly in this are the humans, the Turians, Solarians, and the Asari. I didn't think the Krogan would have such a huge presence on this mission, and I hope that's kind of just a one-off in terms of the colonies and the planets, because one of the things I was thinking about, if we go into this game and it's just all these Milky Way races, it kind of breaks immersion, and it really seems like that's not how it would work. I really hope they are putting quite a few new alien races. We know for sure there's definitely one, because we've seen the companion video, and they do show one of the new aliens as an available companion. So far, you only have, I believe, 6 total companions. There's the Asari, you've got Turian, a female Turian, a Krogan, a new alien, and then of course the 2 human characters that you can take on your squad. So hoping that we see quite a few more alien species that are new and fresh for the Andromeda Galaxy. Hopefully they've held back a lot of stuff and they're going to surprise us. But I just thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss, the Quarians, because they did mention that in that Golden Worlds briefing trailer. And when they did finally say that, I think everybody kind of either breathed a sigh of relief or kind of went a little crazy, because up until that point, we hadn't seen much about Quarians in Mass Effect Andromeda, and most of the speculation was that they would not be in the final game, that they were going to be left behind in the Milky Way. And as I mentioned, with all the events that were going on at the time of the Andromeda Initiative, which actually does depart right about in the middle of the events of Mass Effect 2, it would make total sense for the Quarians not to be a part of the initiative, given their status in the galactic community. That, of course, will change later depending on the decisions you make in Mass Effect 3, but that's not going to have any bearing whatsoever on Andromeda, since they've already left the Milky Way and would not be around to even see what's going on with all that. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Just wanted to kind of discuss this a little bit, see what you guys thought. Let me know what you thought about the newest briefing trailer. I'll put a link for it down below in the description so you can go check it out if you haven't seen it below. And like I said, around the 2-minute, 10-second mark is when they discuss Habitat 5, and they do mention Quarians and Turians. Of course, we already knew Turians were in the game, obviously, since you have a Turian squad mate, and we've seen them in several of the gameplay previews. So definitely check that out. Let me know how you're feeling about Andromeda. I'm still kind of on the fence, with the game. Hoping it's going to be really good. I'm going to be talking about the multiplayer a little bit in another video. But overall, the game is looking, halfway decent at this point. It's a beautiful game, going off of some of these trailers and these briefings. I hope, obviously it says it's not actual gameplay footage, but I still think the game's going to look pretty good. I watched the video the other day which showed the first, I think 13 minutes of the actual campaign, and it looked pretty good. Of course, they were playing it. I think they were probably doing it on a PC, given the graphics quality. that came out in that trailer, and I'm most likely, if I get this game, it's going to be on PC. But overall, it looks beautiful. I'm just still very concerned about the narrative and the story, and them focusing too much on the action and the combat and the exploration. Really, you know, Mass Effect is a great narrative and story, and that's what I really want to see them focus on. So we'll see what happens with that. That's pretty much going to do it for me, guys. As always, I welcome your comments down below. Love to see what you guys think about the fact that Quarians may possibly be in this game, and we'll see if we get a playable squad mate at some point that is a Quarian, because I don't think that they've showed us all the companions just yet. I think having only 6 is a little bit, you know, it's not enough, at least not for me. I was hoping for something more like Dragon Age Inquisition, where that's one of the few things from Inquisition I did like, was just the variety of different companions you could use in that game. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you again next time.